You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It's your boy, Brian Fullerton here, coming at you guys with another podcast, man. I'm excited about doing a topic that I get asked a lot, and that is, when do you go full-time, or when should you go full-time? Now, I did a YouTube video. It's an oldie, but it's a goodie, titled the exact same thing on YouTube, but, I wanted to rehash it. I wanted to talk about just some thoughts I've learned, some updates along the way. Maybe just give some practical advice for a 2020 version of that video from 2 or 3 years ago. Because, a lot of you guys, you're cutting grass, you're hustling on the side. Some of you by necessity, some of you guys intentionally, right? And you want to grow this thing. And so a lot of you guys also are in this boat that I was, which was, man, when do I do this full time? Like, when does it make sense? Like, what do I actually do? Like, what's some good metrics? What's some good numbers? And so, I don't have it all figured out by any means, but I'll give you guys my suggestions, okay? And that's all they are, suggestions, so do with them what you may. I always say filter them through a brain cell. This is unfiltered, so if you don't like that, tough. But have some fun with me here. You got to filter these through a brain cell. You guys got to make educated choices. But I think that if I presented some ideas to you, it could help make those choices a little bit more crystal clear. Maybe give you some measurables, some benchmarks, some checkpoints, some things to check off before you make that jump and that leap. So let's do this. Before we jump into it, let's hear a quick, the announcements.
Looking to outfit your trailer with the best racks in the industry? Head over to Equipment Defender. Be secure, look professional, be organized, stop thieves and damage in their tracks. Equipment Defender has racks for backpack blowers, trimmers, gas cans, backpack sprayers, and more. Stay organized, stay secure with Equipment Defender. All Equipment Defender racks work in either open or enclosed trailers. Get secure and organized today at equipmentdefender.com. And be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Equipment Defender.
All right, cool. So here's the deal. A lot of you guys, like I said earlier, you guys want to know about what it takes to go full time. And I guess the best way I can tell you what to do is by telling you guys what I did. Right. And so we'll take a little bit trip down memory lane. I'll give you guys some suggestions, some tips, and I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, man. Shoot me some DMs, some comments, some emails. Let me know what you guys have been what's been working for you guys. You guys know I engage with you all the time. Again, if you guys haven't left a review on the podcast, if you can leave a 5-star review, it really helps the algorithm gods and helps the podcast get serviced and promoted, which we really appreciate. And so many of you guys have done that, by the way. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you for reviewing the podcast. It really does help a lot with how podcast gets ranked. So here's the deal. When I got started with my lawn care landscaping business, I did a podcast just recently, how to start a lawn care business. And I said, we'll do a part 2, which is talking about when to go full time. And in there, I explained like the abridged version, of how I left True Green, which was the job I was working before I started my lawn business. And the cliff notes is I was working for them for a handful of months. I thought about starting a lawn care business. I had this Baywatch moment watching these two dudes, no homo, that were they jumped out of their lawn care rig when I was spraying lawns one day. And they were cutting grass. They made, $30. They jumped in. They're wearing shorts and a t-shirt and headphones. And here I am, right, sweating it out. Imagine this. I'm sweating it out in a tanker truck, in a Zuzu tanker truck. They call them rhinos. Those big flat-fronted, tanker trucks, the big tank in the back. Dude, just chemicals sloshing around. It's 90 degrees. It's got like that steam rolling off of it, like at a barbecue from a grill, right? So I got this like weird smell and heat thing coming off of all the exhaust and the pump motor and just a loud, obnoxious machine. And I didn't want to be around any of those chemicals, okay? And I just knew I wasn't going to do this. I wasn't going to do it forever. I learned a lot from True Green and the True Green organization. Just fantastic people. I always say it's a selling machine that fertilizes, not a fertilizer company that sells. Okay, they are a sales organization, and they have really good sales training. Okay, I learned a lot of good things from those guys. I still remember one of my old managers, Kevin. One of my old managers, Craig. If anybody knows them, they know that they're both really, really good dudes, stand-up guys, right? And so I actually got kind of like forced out though, because the next season I came back, I had already bought a lawnmower. I was ready to do my lawn care business, but I wasn't ready to go full time. Okay, it was not a willful decision. I was lining it up to figure this out. And by the way, hindsight, I'm going to talk about this later. Is that I don't know if I ever really would have went full time because I had such a scarcity, security mindset. Didn't really believe in myself that much. And here's the deal. I never really decided that I was going to go full time as it was. I might dive into that a little bit more, but I never really saw myself going full time that quickly because I had a really big scarcity mindset, a security mindset, and I didn't know that I was even going to do this full time. And so what happened was I came back one spring, and we were doing all of our PPE and safety training and spray training and just getting our ducks in a row, and they're getting organized as a company in February, March. And they're like, yeah, by the way, they're kind of like awkwardly like, why are you here? And I'm like, what? And one of the guys pulled me aside. He's like, yeah, dude, like you technically don't even work here anymore. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, we thought you were doing lawn care full time. I was like, dude, no, like I'm still working here. And he's like, well, kind of like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, kind of I am. He goes, well, kind of like we replaced your truck with a different driver. And I'm like, you did what? And so I was out. Okay. Like long story short, Brian Fullerton was not working at True Green anymore. I didn't get like fired, but they're like, well, like they didn't even say like we could work this out. They were just like, and I was like, and so anyway, I just went, screw it. I said, screw it. Let's do it. Right. So I said, I'm going to start my own, I already started my own lawn care business, but like, it's time to go big boy club. It's time to go, all in. And so, here's the deal. I had a window, and I talked about this on the last podcast, that in that 6 to 8 weeks window, I knew that I had to replace my salary. Okay. I made like $18,000 gross. I just got my taxes, probably all done at that time. And I just remember 18,500. And I was like, well, if I can get, let's say each customer is $500 or $600 a year. And I was doing like 20 and 22 and $25 cuts. Okay. I was definitely underbidding and lowballing, and I was that guy. Okay. It is what it is. And that's why I always joke about being that guy. Because I can relate so well with that guy. But every time I got a new account, it was like minus $500, right? Minus $500. Like I was like at 18,000, 17,500, 17,000, 16,500, 16,000. I was like, man, I need like, 30 customers and that's a lateral move or whatever it was. Okay. 40 customers. And man, it was like a telethon. I was joking on my last podcast, and I remember working, man. I remember working hard, selling people, passing out flyers and doing the whole deal. So here's the thing I'll say. Tip number one, when you want to, and this is just, I don't have any notes here. We're just ripping it here. But tip number one is when you want to go full time, you gotta replace the income of what you're missing. Okay. And you can probably make it on a little bit less because you're not commuting. You're not, buying lunch every day, like at a 9-to-5 job. So as soon as you can, and you make the same amount of money gross that you are at your job, it's probably time to start having those thoughts to go full time. Now, here's the deal. I was joking, listening to Chance Daily Hustle talk about this, and he hit the nail on the head because he thought the same thing, and he hit the nail on the head when he said, yeah, I thought $350 a week gross for my job was $350 a week for my mowing business was the same thing. Now, anybody listening to this with a brain cell, now knows that that's not true, right? There's taxes, there's payroll, there's fuel costs, there's insurance costs, and your overhead is probably half of that. To be honest with you, maybe a little less, but it's a chunk, right? But that's the first thing that I would tell you guys is that's a good sign though that your business is at a point where you need to start having those conversations if you want to go full time. Why? Because I know that if you're working part time, making almost what you're making full time, that imagine if you were able to double your part time business into the same effort as your full time job, naturally you probably will be able to double your gross. It's a really, really simple formula. And people are like, oh, that's awful advice. Like, before you hear my explanation. Well, not really. Like if you're working your lawn care business 20, 25 hours a week, you're working at nights and weekends, and you're bringing in 50,000, which is totally realistic. So many people do $30,000 to $50,000 at that level. But then they're like, well, I just know. And here's the deal. Let me know if you guys have ever felt this way. Here's where I was, is that, man, if I could just do this full time, I could probably really go all in and double down and double up my business. I think that's totally true. Some people are like, well, that's really optimistic. Well, yeah, but you know what? What else are you gonna? What's the alternative? Being negative and pessimistic? Wrong podcast. Get off of here. Okay, just having fun. So here's the deal. If you're already doing $50,000 part time, you got a job. Now here's the thing too. Context is everything, right? I've talked to so many people that you got to be intelligent with your moves. Now, if you've got the best case scenario is if you got $5, $10, $20,000 in the bank, you've already made moves with your finances with like your investments or with a 401k or something like this, and you just have a grip on your macro, right? You got to figure out your insurance. Whether you're doing a private Christian thing and a group pool health sharing program, or you have insurance that you're buying on your own and it's $700 a month or $1,000 a month. Yeah, you have to line up those ducks in a row. Those costs are real costs. Like when you quit your job that's paying for your insurance or paying for half of it, and people are like, what do you do for healthcare? I'm like, I buy it on my own. They're like, oh, how do you afford it? How do you do it? I'm like, you do realize you're probably already paying a third or half of yours anyway, and your employer's paying the other half of it anyway. And like, oh no, I never thought about that. I'm like, okay, you're probably cut out to be an employee, not self-employed. Just having some fun here, but keeping it real too. And so here's the deal. You gotta get your ducks in a row, right? If you can put 5, 10, 20 grand in the bank, awesome. If you can get your healthcare insurance lined up, awesome. I know so many folks, a typical situation is that the husband decides to run his lawn and landscape business full time, and the wife is a teacher or a nurse, or, she's in corporate America and she's got a good job that has healthcare. Awesome. Just have those conversations is the first thing I'd say. Don't just walk into your boss's office, throat punch the guy, go buy a mower, and you're like, I'm doing this thing. That's not what I'm trying to suggest on this podcast. Now, if that happens, hey man, full send. And, I always say make a decision and make it right. But hopefully you don't get started in a long-term business that way, because it's just going to be so tumultuous and you're going to be in survival mode. And not a lot of folks make good decisions when they're in survival mode or when their back is pressed up against the wall. Usually you do things out of necessity, sometimes rush things and you don't think them through because they're timely things that you got to make those decisions. And so, have a game plan is the biggest thing I'd say. Now, when we're talking about, doubling your business, I think it's totally realistic. Now, so many folks, you're running a business 20, 25 hours a week. You're making $20,000, $30,000 gross. And you're like, well, I want to go full time. Maybe it's just you. Maybe you're like a single guy. You have so many less responsibilities. So you can, have that conversation that much easier and that much more realistic. Again, if you're 38, you have a wife, you have 2 kids, and one of them needs special medication. You have health. Somebody has health issues. Your mom is living with you guys in the basement because she has health issues, and you're like, well, I'm making $90,000 a year with my corporate job. Here's the deal. Let's just slow down and speed up and just be real. Lawn care, it's a great opportunity. I don't know if you're going to make that your first year. I don't know if you're going to make that back your second year or your third year. I mean, just be real. You got to buy a lot of equipment. There's a 25 to probably $50,000 realistic overhead to a decent lawn care business. Now, I know somebody's listening to this like, well, I got started for $2,800 with a mower and an S10 or a Ranger. Okay, cool. The reality is that it's $25,000 to $30,000 for a 20 grand truck, a 10 grand mower, and 5 grand in hand tools and a trailer. Okay, so you're going to be 25, 30 grand in. I don't know if those lines are going to cross for you your first 2 to 3 years in business and go right to making $80,000 and replacing your income at your corporate America job. So again, you got to be intentional. You have to have a roadmap. You have to have a game plan. Get on the same page with your wife or your spouse or your husband. Maybe you're a lady and you want to do lawn care full time. That's fine too. Just have a plan. But if you're making $25,000, $30,000 a year, and I know I'm going hopping around here, and you're working 20 hours a week and making 25 grand, here's the thing too that not a lot of folks really think about, and something that I think is super valuable is that your brain is so fractured, when you're working 2 different jobs. And anybody's listening to this and you're still with me and you're maybe part-time deciding to go full-time, you're probably starting to nod your head at this point and go, yeah, that's me. Like, I know what it's like because I used to do this at True Green, is I'd get up at 5:30. I'd be at the crack of dawn at my shop, my branch, which was 7 minutes down the road. I'd be there at 5:51. I'd be rolling out there at 6 a.m. because we couldn't start any earlier than that and run the pumps first thing in the morning. And I would be spraying lawns all day. We would get out, I'd get down at 2-3 o'clock, cash out my paperwork, get all my tags for the next day for the flags, and get my stuff checked off, get home, shower, clean up, boom, 3-4 o'clock. And I would go cut grass till 9 o'clock at night, in the summer months in Michigan. What a lot of people don't understand too, though, is the mental investment of doing that. Some of you guys have way more demanding jobs than I did, spraying lawns. Like if I sprayed lawns, it was so methodical, maniacal, and it was just so basic, like just spray the right lawn was my biggest quest for the day, my biggest challenge for the day. Just don't mess up on the wrong lawn. Let's not have a chemical spill, right? Okay, cool. Let's do that. Most of the times that happened. But anyway, and so, but if you're working a job or a corporate America job, you're getting pulled in 17 different directions, right? If you're working a traditional job, you're just so distracted by demands and stress and this and that. So I always tell people, like, imagine if you had 40, 50, 60 hours a week to put into your business. And here's the deal. If you're going to make that leap and you're going to make that jump, you have to back it up with commitment. If you can remember any one thing from this podcast, like I'm not going to give you every X and O. I'm not going to give you every number, every stat, every detail. Like it's a process. You got to learn the stuff as you go. But again, you have to make a decision to make it right. If you decide to quit your job or go full time, or you tell the little lady that you're going to do this thing, like guys, it takes a lot of work. You better. This is not time to get lazy and to make memes about lifestyle and get on Instagram and think that's what business is and think that's what success is and think that's what entrepreneurship is. I love the quote. It's like entrepreneurs do what they do for a little bit of time so they can do whatever they want for the rest of their time. Entrepreneurs are the ones that work, when they want, because they do what they needed to do when they had to do it. So now they can do whatever they want whenever they want. No, that's not true. Like those are motivational quips. Those are things that get likes and clicks. The reality is that there's no such thing. There's no such thing as like uber passive income. You can have passive income, but it's still going to take you 5, 10, 20 hours a week to manage it. There's no such thing as quit your business and make, millions of dollars. Grant Cardone, he's a hustler of hustlers. That guy works harder than anybody I know, as wealthy as he is. Now, he has a certain level of financial independence and freedom. Okay, but he's not sipping bonbons and getting fat. That guy is at the office 8, 9, 10 in the morning. Does he need to be there to make it work? No. But, every millionaire and billionaire that I watch on YouTube and Instagram, like the authentic one. Now, the baby millionaires and the new guys and the social media guys, they're selling you a dream and they're selling you their product or their training, to be an Amazon FBA or, be a ClickFunnels guru. Okay, like that's not real business. Okay. I want to dispel some myths here because success still comes down to hard frickin' work. Now, I know I'm getting in your face a little bit here, but I got to calm down, okay? I'm getting all excited in my garage. My wife is probably, what is he yelling at? Who's he yelling at? I'm yelling at myself. Because you got to realize when you quit your business or you quit your job, you only were putting in 40 hours a week, but it takes a lot of effort to do the job that you were doing behind the scenes. You're really 3 or 4 things are related to what you're doing. You're like HR and sales. So like, let's say you're fulfilling one task, but there's really 200 hours a week going into that little job that you have that's interconnected with so many things. And so when you start your own business or you go full time in your business, you're going to get hit by a 2x4 if you're not expecting this, that holy cow, who's going to do all my payroll? Holy cow, who's going to do all my marketing? Holy cow, who's passing out those flyers again? That's me? Well, I was going to go to the movies because I thought that's what entrepreneurs do. I thought I can go to the movies at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Wrong answer. That's not the time to slow down. That's the time to speed up. That's not the time to post motivational memes and tell everybody how excited you are about your new business on Facebook with your lawn care landscaping company, okay? That is a time to hustle. I mean, I worked so hard replacing that $20,000 worth of income. Again, it's pennies on the dollar, okay, today. It's like, it's so minutia, it's not even funny. But to me, $18,000 might have well been $250,000 to me today. Like, that's how significant it was back then to me as money is today. And I knew I had to replace it. I knew that if I didn't figure out in that 6 to 8 week window how to replace that $18,000, like I was freaking screwed. I knew my bills for the year because I did some mental math. My car payment's this, my insurance is that. I need $1,000 a month to run my life, and that's just the bills. I need to like live and have fun. I need $2,000 a month. Okay, well, I need to make 18 to 24 grand this year to even like survive. So as naive and ignorant and dumb as I was intelligent enough to know what I needed to do. And so when I got let go from True Green, I had the fear of God in me. And I'm just telling you guys straight up, hopefully this helps you out. Hopefully if you're listening to this, you're nodding your head and going, yeah, okay, cool. Well, at least somebody shoots it straight for once versus everybody just thinking it's Pollyanna, sunshine and rainbows and, motivational memes on Instagram. That's not business. Like I'm going to just, beat it into you guys that's a time to amplify. That's a time to turn it up. That's a time to dial it up like 5 notches. And you know why? Because I didn't want to lose. I just didn't want to lose. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to, the people that, I said, I'm going to do lawn care full time. And they're like, okay, dude, like you're going to go cut grass full time. I can't remember all these, situations 10 years later, you know what I mean? But I know I had friends that poked fun at me. I know I had, family that was like, he's doing lawn care. Like, didn't he just have a good career at a fast food company and he's going to like climb the corporate ladder? Now what is he doing? Well, yeah, I'm going to do lawn care. Lawn care in Wixom, Michigan. By the way, I have like 5 regional companies that are like the largest in the region, literally within a mile of where I live. Okay. Like I'm in the shark's tank. I'm in the lion's den. I'm swimming with giants and sharks. Okay. Like, and so if I can make it, you guys can make it is what I'm trying to say. But I didn't know that because I was so naive. I was so ignorant. I was so hustle, hard work. I just knew that you weren't going to outwork me. I just knew that I had a crazy work ethic. Out of necessity, I wasn't going to fail. I wasn't going to let myself down. I had signed on a mower. I had made commitments. I had bought things. I wasn't going to not make this happen. So what does that mean to you? How does this relate to you? Well, if you decide to quit your job and go full time, the simple answer, just to be, simple with you guys, is you have to start realizing that it's going to take a lot more effort than you think. Hopefully, that doesn't scare you. Hopefully that encourages you. But I just want to be real with you guys that it's not the time to slow down. It's going to be a time to double down, to speed up. Now, let's talk about timing. Timing is always half the battle because when's a good time to quit and go full time? Well, you know what? Right when the season starts, to me, is a really good, no-brainer proposition. Put in your 2 weeks or your last 30 days, February, March, and, start passing out flyers like a wild man. That's my suggestion, right? Start your ads, start your SEO, start your Facebook, your Google listings, everything you can. And hopefully you've been doing this for 6, 12, 18 months as you, again, bring that ship as close to shore before you jump on the boat and head into deep water, as I call it. You make that transition as simple and as seamless and honestly as easy as possible. Again, mine was out of necessity. Okay. Like I was like, dude, if I don't sell, I'm not going to eat. Like if I don't, now I was living at home, so I wasn't going to be like destitute, not on the street. But some of you guys are in that position where like, dude, I got to make this work. I got to make this happen. Now, again, if you can have a game plan going into it where you got 20 grand in the bank, you got a 6-month safety net, like those things help. And so I don't like, I'm not trying to be trivial or belittle. Like those things really do make a big difference. And if you got a security net or a safety net or, the spouse or the wife or the husband is on board with you, that stuff helps tremendously. And you gotta be on the same page. Now, I understand too that sometimes, there's ultimatums, man. Julio with Lawn Care Business Success. He talked about, he was in an ultimatum situation. Like his wife was pregnant. They scheduled surgery to have their, second baby, if I'm not mistaken, cesarean, I think is how you say it. And his boss was like, no, you're working Monday. He's like, no, I'm not. I've scheduled this for 3 months. And his boss is like, look, we had somebody quit. We're shorthanded. You're working. And he's like, dude, I'm not missing my child's birth. And that's probably what I would say too. But Julio knew that came with consequences. And so he talks about his story on his podcast. Amazing dude, amazing podcast. But he talks about how he was in an ultimatum situation and he was like, dude, it is time to make hay. It is time to hustle. And he did out of necessity. So anyway, a lot of words. Just I don't know if you're taking notes, but I'm just trying to give you guys the thought process, maybe more than just X's and O's. And so when you're ready to go full time,
Looking to outfit your trailer with the best racks in the industry? Head over to Equipment Defender. Be secure, look professional, be organized, stop thieves and damage in their tracks. Equipment Defender has racks for backpack blowers, trimmers, gas cans, backpack sprayers, and more. Stay organized, stay secure with Equipment Defender. All Equipment Defender racks work in either open or enclosed trailers. Get secure and organized today at equipmentdefender.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Equipment Defender.
You know, I think something that's really that people don't give folks that are in that position the benefit of a doubt is that how hard when you do make that commitment, in my observation, to go full time, and you really will back it up with a lot of work and a lot of effort. I think that you will be surprised at how much growth and success and results you will experience from your business. Now, not everything you're going to do is going to touch the gold that you touch is turned to gold. Not everything's going to be just easy street. I'm not trying to paint this Pollyanna. But again, when's the last time you were able to dedicate something 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week into it? You know what I mean? That's where I think a lot of people don't give folks the benefit of a doubt that go full time. They're like, well, don't give that advice and you don't know. And again, I'm trying to give conservative advice here, but I'll tell you that if you are going full time and you dump that 40-hour week job or whatever, or 50-hour week job, man, putting 50 hours a week into your own business, you will get really, really focused and really, really motivated. I know I did. I was like, whoa, dude, like, I took the leash off. I can actually go to the bathroom whenever I want. I can actually go hit up Jimmy John's instead. There is a little bit more flexibility. I'm not saying you got to be militant with your schedule, okay? I'm just saying have realistic expectations. It's time to work. But when you're doing it on your time and you're waking up at 7, you grab a cup of coffee and you're like, all right, you know what? I'm self-employed, dang it. I'm going to make this thing happen. And you got your 10,000 flyers on your table and you're like, all right, I'm going to pass out 2,000 flyers today. I'm going to burn up the phone. I'm going to go do estimates. I'm going to do bids. I'm going to leave a podcast in my ear, in an earbud, to listen to Brian's Law Maintenance and watch his YouTube channel and watch other people that I know I can stem from information from and learn from. That's what it's all about. And so I think when you are going full time, just to give some encouragement and some hope, like, dude, you will get really focused. You will get really motivated. Here's one thing that I don't think a lot of people really understand until you really start branching out into a new world or a new venture or a new commitment is that, people always ask me, what are you doing with YouTube? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just literally getting caught up in it. And people are like, what does that even mean? Well, I'm just saying, listen, I made a video, it got 2 views. I made a second video, it got 4 views. I got a third video, it got 13 views. And I just made one video after another. There was no real plan, okay? We were just having fun. We're still just having fun. But here's what you got to realize. As it grew, I got more committed. And as I got more committed, I saw it grow. And as I saw it grow, I got more committed. And as I got more committed, I saw it grow. Does that make some sense? When I was growing my lawn care business, when I got one customer, I was like, all right, we're going to do this lawn care thing. And as I grew my lawn care thing and I was out there cutting grass and I got another customer, I said, man, I got this lawn care thing figured out. This is pretty cool. And as I passed out, and it gave me motivation. I said, you know what? I'm going to go pass out another 200 flyers tomorrow. I'm going to go return those 4 voicemails. I'm going to go, shop around for some new equipment. I'm feeling pretty good. And as I worked it, and I got some momentum, right? Keyword here. I got some momentum. I got some confidence. I got some peak to peak principle. I always call it, and a lot of people call it, is like when you get some success, and it can be as simple as getting a yes, one yes. And when I got one yes, my goal was to ride that high and to do something productive. And then I rode that high to do something productive because I felt motivated. And then I got 2 yeses. And as I got 2 yeses, man, I might as well have been bulletproof. Somebody says they don't want to sign up or the other guy does it for cheaper. I was like, screw you. You have no idea what you're talking about. You're losing out on the best lawn care guy ever. And I just turned those no's into screw yous. Just being honest and having fun here. And so those what most folks don't understand, or what maybe you don't understand as you go full time, is that this is my observation. A lot of folks are kind of wired the same, especially if you got that entrepreneurial bug. You're going to get motivated. You're going to get more commitment. You're going to get more serious. And it's kind of like, this kind of taking it back, but if you know the movie The Matrix, with Neo, like who doesn't like a good Matrix reference once in a while for an analogy? It's kind of like when he's dodging bullets, right? And he's in the hallway and, he's like not running from the agents anymore. And Morpheus is like, sitting in Nebuchadnezzar with Trinity, right? You guys know the scene. If you haven't, that's a sin. You need to go watch The Matrix tonight, date night with your wife after you listen to this podcast. Just having fun. But anyway, and Trinity like leans over to Morpheus and he's like, "What is he doing?" And Morpheus is like, "He's beginning to believe." Right? Like, and Neo like looks at the bullet, right? Grabs it out of the air. This bullet time action thing is like, mega new and really cool in like, 1999. And he looks at the bullet and he goes, "Huh." And he like throws it down and then he like swoops his hand and all the bullets fall down and the agents are like, "No." And he like runs back at them and like smokes them and, like jumps inside one of them and like kills them and blows them up. It's like really cool. It's kind of weird too, by the way. Little sci-fi movie, but it's the same thing with your business. Like in the beginning, you're going to get rocked. In the beginning, you don't have any confidence. And you're like, "Well, I'm trying to listen to a podcast about how to go full-time on lawn care business." It's like, hello, I'm trying to give you the answer here. It's psychological. It's mental. Okay. I know it was for me. It's a mental warfare, not necessarily an X's and O's and dollars in, dollars out. Although you need to manage and measure that, I'm telling you the psychological game. This is what I couldn't do at length on that video that I wanted to dive deeper in and give you guys, 45 minutes of thought process, not just a 9-minute soft shoe answer. Yes, you have to look at the numbers. Again, you have to have a couple bucks in the bank. You have to buy your equipment. If you can buy all of your equipment and pay cash and do a side hustle for 18 months and you got 20 grand in the bank and all your equipment's paid for and you got $40,000 out of your business and you're like, "Oh, I think I can do it. I'm only making 38 grand at my job and I did 40 with lawn care last year and I got 25 grand in the bank." Like, we don't even need to have that conversation. Okay. Get organized, get a good CPA, get a good bookkeeper. They'll tell you where you're really at. But if you're like me out of necessity, well, then that's why this whole lengthy conversation, because I got fired, let go, whatever you want to even call it, from True Green. And my story came out of like pure necessity. I was so already at zero, you know what I mean? Because I didn't have any unemployment coming in. I've told this story. And so I didn't have any money. I bought my mower on credit. So the minute I bought that mower, guys, I was in business. I had motivation. Like in 30 days, Synchrony Bank or Sheffield or whoever it was, right? Sheffield is calling me back and they're like, "Hey, if you don't pay us back," or I think it was Synchrony Bank. They're like, "If you don't pay us your first payment in 30 days, like that's now our mower." And I'm like, "What? You want this money every day?" I feel like that dog. The maple kind? The bacon? The maple kind? Yeah. And so anyway, that's how I felt like with the mower. I'm like, you want this payment every month? And they're like, "Yeah. Did you not read the terms?" I go, "I don't know." And so anyway, having some fun here, but that was the motivation. That was mine. Mine was like direct pressure. My mom, she wasn't in the boat to like float a $200 car payment, bless her heart. That's what you say in the South, by the way. Bless your heart. She wasn't in a position to take care of my car payment or my insurance. She might have floated 1 month or 2 months, but I didn't have any unemployment. I had to figure this thing out. I had direct pressure, and sometimes that works for you. I'll tell you this, to answer the question, do I know if I would have went full time? I don't know if I would have ever really went full time. I'm just going to be honest. Like my personality, it's very closeted. It's very introverted. If you take any personality tests, you'll know that like I'm the thinker, I'm the melancholy, I'm the detail guy. I am not the out front alpha in charge, just chasing down the hill, Stanley Dirt Monkey guy, right? I am not that guy. I am the go to a party with you, hang out with you, watch you get drunk, challenge you to do something stupid, and then I tell funny stories about how I made you do something dumb. So that's the more manipulistic guy that I am behind the scenes with talking about having fun with like my personality type, right? Like I'm just not an out there, out front kind of guy. But I will tell you this, when I was at True Green, I don't know if I would have went full time. I had no real goals or desires to do that. Like I might say that, but I don't know if I ever really believe that. Right. And so one other thing I do like to leave folks with as I bring all this up is that I'm a firm believer in two different analogies I want to leave you guys. Number one, something that just really helped me a while ago and it just kind of stuck with me was a trapezist or a trapeze artist, right? When you see them swinging on the ropes, and maybe this helps you guys out, maybe it doesn't, but I know it helped me. when you see a trapeze artist or trapeziist, I think this is the way to say it, at a circus or at a fair, and they're doing their thing, there has to be a level of faith. Okay. And this is the last thing I'll leave you guys with. There has to be a level of faith as you decide to go all in, as you decide to believe in yourself. I mean, we could do a whole hour-long topic on this, is believing in yourself. I feel like so many people, honestly, they don't believe in themselves anymore. I just feel like society beats you down, and by the time you're about 15 years old, your confidence is gone. The peer pressure, society, the public education system, it just crushes your creativity, your self-confidence. You don't believe in yourself anymore. And so how can you believe in yourself at 18, 22, 28, 38 years old to run your own business when you've been just told your whole life you can't do it? And whether you know that or not, it's true. You've heard 160,000 no's, I think it is, by the time you're like 7. Okay. Like there's crazy, kid psychological stats out there. And as Liz and I want to become parents, we read this kind of stuff and it's just ridiculous. And so the goal is to offset that, right, with an equal number of yeses to your kids so you don't ruin them. But I'll tell you guys straight up, I don't know if I would have ever done that, but looking at a trapeziist, imagine the idiocracy, imagine the lunacy, it's not even in their vocabulary to be hesitant, right? When that other rope is at that perfect angle, and if that person doesn't release from swinging like a monkey from somebody else's arms or wrists or hands or whatever, feet, what is the odds that person is going to connect with that rope, that other swing at that perfect moment if they hesitate, if they don't have faith that it's going to be there, if they don't have faith that they're going to make it, if that they're going to connect? Now, this isn't a blank pass or a blank check to like just say, screw it, let's do it, and I'm out of here, boss. I'm just trying to paint a picture to give you guys a little bit of oomph behind your decision. I think most of us, honestly, we can perform. I think, honestly, most of us, we can go full time. I think, honestly, most of you guys have more than you know inside of your spirit, your gut, your heart that can make this thing work and make it work for you. I think you've been around too many people. This is just my story. I've been around too many people for too long, way before, that never encouraged me, that never believed in me, that just never had anything going on in their life. So I didn't have anything going on in my life. And I was just a product of my environment. You know what I mean? And whether you know that or not, there's a pretty good chance that if you grew up public education and you're just milling about through society, you've had that same negative thought process that's taken root into your brain and your psychology and your belief system. Whether you believe it or not, it's up to you. I just chose to believe. I just chose to have faith. I just chose to let go of the first rope and believe that the next rope was going to be out there. Now, again, there's a little bit of art and tact to that trapezius, right? They've trained, they've studied, they've learned, right? They know when to release. They know when to grab. They know how to grab. They know how to use the chalk. They know too much chalk. They know too little chalk. Okay. They know once they get on that rope, where's that rope swinging to? They already know where the next rope is. That's a whole nother topic for another time. You got to have that chess game, that map. You got to have that roadmap. Now, same thing with your business. You got to have a plan. You have to have an idea. Hopefully some of the ideas I shared with you gave you some of the puzzle pieces. Probably not everything, but some more of the puzzle pieces. And the last thing I want to bring up is you got to have faith. You have to believe. You have to believe in yourself. Like in the Matrix, he's beginning to believe. Okay. And the last one that helped me, and this is just a quick little fun one, was how much more are you leaving off the table than you really know? What's on the other side of you making that decision? How different could your life be? What if things did work? What if things did succeed? What if things did work out in your favor? What if you did have a successful business? What if you did leave your job? How important are you really at your job? I know for me, I was at Little Caesars, man. I was killing the game. I was crushing that franchise, man. Like, you go pull up my stats. Somebody go find the internal vaults of Little Caesars. You pull up my stats for that store for 12 to 18 months. I killed it. It was always net sales up. We bonus all the time. My controllables were always 62 or lower, 58 to 62. Man, we killed it. Okay, I know what I did at that store. I was a hustler, man. But here's the deal. I know that the minute I was fired and I was gone, my supervisor took over, my regional manager took over, and there was a new store manager in that store within a week, maybe 6 weeks tops, but within a week, right? I wasn't that important. Now, what you do, maybe if you're, a NASA scientist or you work for SpaceX and you're going to Mars, okay, you're smart. You're smarter than me, okay, and you're important. And maybe what you're doing is not replaceable, but and maybe you're not that replaceable. But for most of us, you're probably doing a job that, it might take people 2 weeks to notice that you're gone if you didn't show up. And I'm not just being mean. I'm just being honest, guys. Like, why would you put so much value or priority on somebody who probably doesn't even really truly appreciate you? Well, and maybe you got a good job. Maybe you got a good boss and a good job and they do appreciate you. And if so, man, that's even better. Like, I know you're the minority. Let's just be honest. We'll just have a real talk, me and you. And so here's the deal. What if you do succeed? What if you do make it happen? What if you do grow? What if you do get your name on the truck? What if 2 to 5 years from now you have a successful business and then things do work out? Everybody always thinks like, what if it doesn't? What if it does? What if it does? I think a lot of us, this isn't just pump you up stuff. This is, I truly believe that a lot of folks have it in them to succeed, and you just got to give it a go. Last analogy I'll say, and then we'll wrap it up is, imagine one thing that's always worked for me is if you ever go to a gun range, you like to exercise your Second Amendment rights, like I do. You go to a gun range once a month just to stay sharp. John Wick over here, just having fun. Baba Yaga, the boogeyman here. And, I like going to the gun range. And one thing I noticed at the gun range, all gun ranges, is that they, including government buildings, is that a lot of them have double sealed magnetic doors. And so you can go into one door, but you can't walk in from the gun range spot where they check your bullets with the magnet and, you get your targets and all that mess, and you show them your slips and your ticket time, right? You walk into the first door, it's a little 20 by 20 room. It's claustrophobic. There's no windows. Always makes me wonder what would happen if there's a fire. Just how my brain works. But you get into that room, but you can't go into the second room until the first door shuts because they're magnetic. The first one has to shut until the second one opens. And so it just really stuck with me as an analogy, as I heard somebody explain that once to me, is that, maybe quitting your job or maybe going full time, maybe you don't see it all just yet. Maybe you don't have that crystal clear vision. Maybe you don't know how things are going to work out. And maybe I'm talking to the guy that maybe that got fired and it's out of necessity, or maybe you just stumbled upon this podcast. Maybe you're like, I don't even know. I just found your podcast and this is the first episode I clicked on and I'm 25 episodes in. I didn't even start with the first one. And you're like, how did I get here? Hey, maybe it's a God thing. Okay. Stop questioning things and just stop being a knucklehead. That's usually my story. But what happens when you maybe you get fired or you get put into an awkward position or a situation? You got to hustle. You're fighting for survival, man. I know what it's like to just be pushed against the wall. And that's why I know what it's like to hustle and what it's like to work for it. When somebody says YouTube that, you got your trucks from YouTube and your free equipment from YouTube and all this other stuff, I'm like, dude, say that to me in person and I will throat punch you, because I know what it's like to not have anything. I know what it's like to buy a $600 backpack blower and eat PBJ for the next 6 effing weeks. Okay. I know what it's like. So don't ever say that to me. Say that to somebody else. Don't ever say that to me. But let's say you're that guy that's been struggling, right? And now you're stuck in you got to go full time with your business. And maybe your business is even on life support. Maybe it's not there yet, but it's in you. Well, sometimes that first door's got to shut, man, and it's got to close all the way, and watch that second door open up. And you might realize there's such a good time ahead of you. There's so much opportunity ahead of you, but you couldn't see it because that first door has to shut until the second door gets to open. And so that's the last thing I'll leave you guys with. If you want to go full time, you got to get your ducks in a row. And by the way, ducks don't get in a row. That's just an old motivational quip that doesn't mean anything, because ducks don't walk in a straight line. Okay, they walk jagged, and there's always a duck that's like ridiculous, and he's walking on the side, and he's like 1 foot behind, and the mama duck's like 4 feet ahead, and the dad's like screaming on the side, like quack quack quack. And again, my brain's like whammy. Okay, on steroids. So just having some fun here. But here's the deal. If you want to go full time, get a plan. Get an idea of what you're trying to do. Get on the same page with your spouse. If you're young, dude, ride them cowboy, okay? Throw caution to the wind. You're 20 years old. You got nothing going on, low overhead, no bills. You're living at home. Your parents are cool. They're like, hey, dude, you can live here till you're 30. Hey, milk it, okay? Go put a couple $100,000 in the bank. Start a business and learn and cut your teeth. Here's what I'll say. You will not get out of doing the hard work. You will not get out of paying your dues. You will not get out of doing the grunt work. You will not get out of burning up the phone. You will not get out of being customer service and learning how to talk to people. Okay, you're just not. Those are the X's and O's, the blocking and tackling, the stuff that you guys don't usually get to see on YouTube, because how do you capture that? You guys don't capture me when I'm on the phone getting yelled at or making a sales call. I try to capture it, but it's a 1% chance that those things are going to align when I got the camera on or in front of me, okay? But those are the things that you're gonna have to do with your business if you want to succeed. Now, it's a lot simpler. I won't say easy, right? I'm not saying anything's easy, but it's very simple. It is very simple to grow your business and to make those sales, to pass out those flyers, to get routes, to get customers, to put stuff into Yardbook or your CRM, to invoice. Okay, it's a really, really simple business. Now, you're complicated. Right, that's a whole nother story. You're the complicated variable. Okay, run a lawn care business. It's make some stripes, cut some grass, trim and blow, and you're good to go. Now you're complicated. And the last thing I'll say is, it's all mental, dude. That's why I wanted to do a 45-minute podcast on this. It's all mental. It's 90% mental. It's 80% mental. Tony Robbins, 80% mental, 20% mechanics. Right? It's the old Tiger Woods. He used to say, the hardest course he ever used to play was the 6 inches between his ears, right? Because he would just get head faked, man. He had to be solid. He had to be a mental rock. He had to be not moved. He had to, just be ultra focused. He had to have his mental map, his roadmap, his game plan, where to hit the ball, the whole deal, how to putt, what to putt, when to shoot, what to do, wind, all the conditions, right? And so I just leave you with that, is that work on your mental, work on your brain, work on your belief, work on your encouragement. Listen to people telling you can do it, not people that can't do it. Don't listen to your boss who's telling you that you're a dork and playing, Mr. Mexican over here cutting grass. No disrespect to my Mexican friends, but that's like we get ragged on as white boys out there. Hey, look at Mr. Mexican. It's like, whatever, dude. I'm gonna cut grass. I'm gonna succeed and have fun with it. Okay, I'm gonna win. So listen to stuff that's upbeat. I know I'm preaching to the choir if you're listening to this and you're this far into it, but listen to stuff that's upbeat, man. Listen to stuff that's encouraging. Listen to folks that are telling you that you can, not folks that you can't. Listen to the Gary V's. Listen to the Grant Cardones. Listen to the Darren Hardys, the Andy Frisellas, the Sal Frisellas, okay? Listen to the good stuff out there. And don't forget that all that is good excitement. It's fun. It's motivational. But you also got to take the engine and combine it with a transmission, and that transmission is the hard work. It is the blocking and tackling. It is the simple X's and O's. It is the grinding it out and building the actual business. And you know what? It is not a labor of. It's a labor of love. It's not a death sentence. It's not a life sentence. It's not a prison sentence. Okay. Growing my business is the most fun I've ever done, because the more it grew, the more committed I got. The more committed I got, the more it grew. And the more it grew, the more I realized I could do this thing and I could make it happen. And if you're trying to go full time, this is my mental roadmap to you guys, is that you can do it. You guys can make it happen on your own. Be thoughtful, be intentional, take your time. If you can do it more right, if you can pay cash along the way and get debt free and do all that stuff, even better. If you were in survival mode and you have to do it out of necessity, I get it. I've been there. That was kind of more my story. But listen to all the other podcasts out there, man, of all the other episodes of folks that we got that learned how to start their business, because there's a lot of folks that you guys can relate to. Just know this. Just know that I believe in you. If you ever need anything, shoot me an email. I don't have it all figured out. I can't, give you money, but if you need help, you're in a roadblock, shoot me an email, shoot me a DM, find somebody else in the community that you can partner up with. Find somebody around town that you can network with. Find a mentor, find a coach, find somebody that you can confide in and lean on. I'll tell you what, man, maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your wife, maybe it's your pastor, maybe it's your father, maybe it's a brother, maybe it's a mentor. I know I've got mine, but confide in those people, man. And just decide, make a decision and make it right. So, all right, guys, that's it. Hopefully you appreciate the candid conversation. Hopefully you guys appreciate the honesty. Do me a big favor. If you guys haven't, shoot me a big 5-star review on this thing, man. And just the podcast in general, if you haven't, it literally takes 10 seconds. You're going to look down at your phone, pick the next track anyway, or jump on Pandora. Hey, whatever works. While you're there, type 3 sentences, hit the little blue bar, whatever it is, purple bar, whatever you're listening to on whatever platform. Just leave a quick 5-star review for us. We really appreciate it. If I'm helping you guys out and you feel empowered, you feel emboldened, you feel like Superman after listening to these things, you're gaining some knowledge or some wisdom, man, reciprocate. I really do appreciate it. It sincerely helps the podcast grow, and it appeases the algorithm gods, and it helps us with getting the podcast surfaced. And you know what, man? If this podcast helped you out, share it with another lawn bro, man. You guys have been sharing the podcast like crazy. I get to see the stats behind the scenes. I so appreciate that. Share it with another lawn bro. If you feel like somebody else could get some motivation with this, share it in that group chat. Share it in your DMs on Instagram and your group chat. Share it with your friends and let them know about the podcast, man. Let them know that there's a green industry podcast called Fullerton Unfiltered that can help them out. We keep it real. We keep it unfiltered. And I think that's what everybody likes to hear and everybody likes to see. So, guys, that's it. Appreciate you big time. We'll catch up with you on the next episode.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.